Hello and welcome to the HR Diary AI Field Notes, where I'm documenting my experiments with AI tools in the professional life. In this series, I'll give you a rundown of different techniques that have helped me gain fresh perspectives, boost productivity, and just make work more fun. If you're already deep into AI world, this video probably isn't for you. But if you're somewhere in the middle of your journey, I'm hoping it sparks ideas and encourages to start exploring what's possible. We'll experiment with several AI tools because each excels at different tasks. At the time of filming, ChatGPT is the best model for dictation and conversation. Claude offers exceptional analytical capabilities, Nano Banana shines in generating images, while Perplexity is unmatched for research. As for Notebook LM, well, let's save that for later. Okay, let's start with a big one, coaching. We all have difficult conversations, giving tough feedback, asking for a raise, bringing up a sensitive topic with your boss. These conversations are stressful and high stakes, and we usually just get thrown into the deep end with zero practice. I mean, talking to yourself in the mirror doesn't really work, and hiring a real coach can be expensive. Here's what I do instead. I built my own personal communication coach in the AI tool, and I can practice with it whenever I want. I use ChatGPT Projects for this. Let's have a look together. When you open ChatGPT on desktop or on your phone, you'll see an option to create a new project. Let's create one called Communication Coach. Then, let's add custom instructions that basically give it a job description. So now, every time I open a chat in this project, it already knows it's my coach for difficult conversations. It saves time. The instructions tell it to do several things. Simulate realistic workplace dialogues, give me direct feedback on my tone and phrasing, help me manage my emotional reactions, and always end with practical alternatives. I've also shared some personality tests with it, Clifton Strengths and Discovery Insights, so it can tailor feedback to my communication style. You don't need to do that if it feels like too much. The full prompt is available in the description of the episode. By the way, I created it using a technique called meta prompting, which is a fancy way to say that I asked AI to create a prompt for AI. First, I asked ChatGPT to create a prompt for deep research in Perplexity on the topic of best coaching techniques and approaches. Then, I took the results from Perplexity and asked ChatGPT to create project instructions for personal coach. Here's how it works in practice. Let's take a scenario where a team leader needs to give feedback to their team member that they need to be more seen and heard. Let's see what ChatGPT will do. We open a new chat in the project, and instead of writing or dictating, we open a conversation option. Alright, let's roleplay. You're Mary and I'm your team leader. Together with the leadership team, we just concluded people development review. Mary is considered a high potential who could take a team leader role, but there was feedback she needs to be more seen and heard. She's too quiet in the meetings. She's an introvert who rarely speaks up. I want to explore the development item with her, and my goal is to convince Mary of the importance of being more present or jointly decide to shift her career to a different path. Let's make it difficult, don't go easy on me.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. I'll play Mary and bring in a bit of resistance so it feels like a real conversation. Just to recap, you're my team leader, and you're about to share that I'm seen as a high potential, but that I need to speak up more. Let's see how it goes. Feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Hey Mary, thanks for taking the time. So as you know, we have just concluded people development review and I have some feedback to share, but before we jump into the weeds, how are you doing?
Oh, of course. I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I appreciate you checking in. And yeah, I'm ready to hear the feedback whenever you are.
Sure. So let's go with the headline. The headline is that together with the leadership team, we have concluded and calibrated that you're definitely a high potential. We have looked at all the great contributions that you have delivered throughout the last year, and also looking at the markers of behavioral competences, we see you can grow into bigger roles. It is very much in line with what you and I discussed in the development conversation, where you shared with me that you're interested into growing into a team leader position. There is also additional feedback on top of that, which is we want for you to be more seen and heard.
All right. I see what you mean. And I appreciate the positive side of that you see me as a high potential. But I'll be honest, I'm more of an introvert, and speaking up a lot in meetings isn't really my comfort zone. So I'm a little hesitant about how I can realistically do that, but I'm listening. Let me know what you're thinking.
Sure. And, you and I discussed this at length, and I understand that by nature you feel more as an introvert. And when I think about this, I do not see this as an attempt to change your personality. I think it's more about letting the others, letting the team benefit more from your perspectives.
Yeah, I get that. And I appreciate you framing it that way because it is a little easier to think of it as just sharing my perspective rather than having to be someone I'm not. I guess that question is, how do we make that practical? Because it does feel a bit daunting to suddenly just jump in and start talking more. So I'm open to ideas.
Very often it is not about, I do not want to encourage you to speak for the sake of speaking. I want to make sure that you feel that on top of the great contribution on the technical side, whenever you bring a new perspective, you can also consider jumping in when you see that the team is spinning around and not making any headway. Be the person who raises the hand and say, maybe rephrases again the perspectives discussed so far and then sets a new direction. It's in a way about crafting that direction.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's not about me just talking to fill the air. It's more about helping the team get unstuck if I see that happening. That actually feels a bit more doable. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I might still need a little practice or a bit of guidance on how to do that smoothly, but I can see the value in it. Thanks for putting it that way.
Perfect. And anything that comes to your mind that would help you with that mental shift?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're already kind of starting to think about how to make it more practical. So let's pause here for a second and let me give you some feedback. First of all, I think you did a great job framing it in a way that was empathetic and that helped me as Mary feel a little more at ease. What you might want to consider is also maybe asking a question or two to draw out what would make Mary comfortable. So you did that really nicely toward the end. And overall, I think you handled it well. So let's keep practicing if you'd like, but that's just my quick feedback so far.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ChatGPT. So this is just one example. You can see there is power in the practice before actually stepping into the conversation, stepping into the room and having the tough dialogue. What is cool is that over time the project learns your communication style. It starts to recognize patterns, can give you better feedback and makes you better at communicating clearly. Another cool functionality within the coaching domain is using it as a sounding board. This year, I held 11 Q&A sessions about people development framework. Before going in, I wanted to prepare for tough questions. I was still relatively new to the company and wanted to nail the details. So I uploaded the presentation deck to AI, no sensitive data shared, and asked it to play the role of employees. I gave it specific instructions. You're an employee participating in a Q&A with your HR business partner. Ask me one question at a time, wait for my response, and evaluate it. Start with neutral questions and gradually move to more difficult ones. At the end, ask questions from grumpy employees who are disappointed with the process. A side note, I'm a plan A thinker, which is another way to say I'm an optimist, but in some cases, you need to exercise your brain facing the tough realities. Then I used dictation to practice my answers out loud. After each response, AI gave me feedback and helped me refine my phrasing. It tightened it in some places, pointed out where I was drifting, and helped me reveal that on the overall map of the process knowledge, some things were still covered by the fog of war, for those who played Age of Empires or StarCraft. This works for any presentation or Q&A prep. It's an excellent way to sharpen your thinking before you step into the room. The sounding board technique can be applied to any type of intellectual inquiry. If you have a topic you want to explore, a question without a straightforward answer, use it as your sparring partner. But keep in mind that most models, except perhaps for Grok, the model from Elon Musk's AI company, were designed to be like enthusiastic interns ready to help you at any moment. They're so eager to satisfy your request, sometimes they'll make stuff up. To avoid that, ask for sources and use what I called Absolut mode. It is basically the no-nonsense, no-fluff version of AI interaction. Think of it as stripping away everything that makes AI feel friendly and polite and getting straight to the raw insight. When you activate this mode, AI drops the emojis, hype, and fillers. It's not trying to match your energy or make you feel good about the interaction. Instead, it just gives you the core answer in the most direct, blunt way possible. The full prompt is in the video description. If there is one thread that ties all of this together, it's this. AI isn't here to replace your thinking, it's here to extend it. And that distinction matters more than you might think. MIT ran an experiment on this, and what they found was pretty sobering. People who outsourced their thinking instead of augmenting it experienced what researchers called cognitive decay. Over time, their ability to think critically and creatively actually got worse. So my advice on the first page of the AI field notes, all in caps, is keep your brain engaged, do the work. With creative tasks, use these tools to amplify what you can do, not to do it for you. And experiment. Find what works for your workflow, your role, your brain. Because at the end of the day, AI is just a tool. A really powerful one, sure, but the thinking? That's still on you. My name is Jafar and this was the HR Diary AI Field Notes Episode 1. If this episode gave you something useful, subscribe and click like. It genuinely helps HRD reach more people who are trying to work smarter, not just harder. Stay curious. HR out.